Welcome to another exciting episode of 6 Degrees of Leadership, the podcast where we explore the interconnected world of leadership and success. I'm your host, Brian Hendricks, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Now, before we dive into today's discussion, I want to take a moment to remind our listeners about a valuable resource that has been transforming communication skills and leadership journeys across the world. If you're looking to elevate your communication game and unlock the secrets to effective leadership, look no further than the Communicator's Playbook. Written by yours truly, The Communicator's Playbook is a best selling guide packed with practical strategies, insightful tips, and real world examples to help you master the art of communication in any situation. Whether you're leading a team, presenting to a boardroom, or simply aiming to enhance your interpersonal skills, this book has got you covered. You can grab your copy today on Amazon and start your journey towards becoming a more confident and influential communicator. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your leadership game with The Communicator's Playbook. Now, let's jump into today's episode where I interview Tim Pauly. Tim is a Milwaukee native and the current owner, operator, and managing member of Broken Bat Brewing Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's a 2010 graduate of Marquette University with a degree in economics and has spent time in both corporate and small business work settings before officially launching his own small business on April 7th, 2017. Broken Bat just celebrated its 7-year business anniversary this past April. Now, Tim also happens to be one of my best and closest friends. Tim and I talk about how to practice what you preach, especially when you are in that leadership role. Now, sit back and enjoy the 6 Degrees of Leadership. Excited I am to have you on this show, not just to learn from you, a successful entrepreneur, business owner, brewery owner, but one of my best friends in the entire world. Having you on here, it's a really cool moment for me. So thank you for taking the time and joining us on the 6 Degrees Leadership today.
Yeah, man, this was as easy of a yes as I've given out in a long time. So I'm excited too. It's been fun. I mean, we've talked for countless, months, years, even about just jumping into the deep end of the pool and, taking a leap of faith and bet on yourself. And here we are. So let's get rolling.
Yeah. Good. Well, it's like you timed that transition perfectly. So the first question I ask everybody is, what is your origin story? You know me, I'm a big Marvel guy. So every hero has an origin, every leader has an origin. So
Yeah, man.
Basically and I love hearing different people's origin because we all come from different backgrounds on how we got into that role. So how is it that you got to be running a successful brewery? What is your origin story, Tim?
Yeah, my origin story, I probably got a little bit of Darth Vader in me, so I'm cool with the action heroes. But so obviously graduated from Marquette, jumped into direct supply out of school. I was working in supply chain operations, all that stuff. I had good jobs. I kept having kind of that little creature inside of me, like I got to be doing something else. I just want to be responsible for me and not anyone else. I don't want to have to give credit. I don't want to be, blamed for something that I didn't do. I don't want to be a part of something that I don't believe in necessarily. And direct supply was about as good of a company and culture and business as you could ask for as an employee. So knowing that I was still unhappy in that type of a setting, I just sort of knew I got to do it now or I'm never going to do it. And then I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. So basically 2013 rolled around. I started poking around the idea of opening a craft brewery in Milwaukee. It was a little bit before the boom happened in 2016, but it's an expensive endeavor. It's a long endeavor. It takes a ton of planning. It takes a lot of, guts and money and time and energy. And we ended up opening our doors in April of 2017 as a teeny little Broken Bat tap room in the 3rd Ward, and then expanded into this lovely facility in the year of our Lord 2020, spring of 2020. So background, I was basically corporate life to start.
Yeah,
had good people around me, but I just kind of knew I was more of a sweatpants and hoodie and baseball cap kind of guy. So that's how we got here.
And I can, I've known Tim for well over a decade, going on almost 2 decades at this point.
Yep.
Tim has been a sweatpants and a sweatshirts guy for as long as I've known this guy. And it fits you, right? And it's true to who you are.
No change in sight, man. I can tell you that much.
Well, and I think that's, being true to yourself and all that. That's great leadership. But, the topic of the conversation I want to talk to you, because something I've always really respected about you is that you say what you mean and you mean what you say. And when you say you're going to do something, it's going to happen. So that's why, this episode's entitled Practice What You Preach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that obviously is a must have for leaders, but it's really hard for leaders to actually do that because
Yeah.
they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get
Yeah.
anybody upset. So, when I reached out to you and said, "Hey, Tim, what topic do you want to talk about?" You said, "Let me talk about practice what you preach."
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually mean to you? Practice what you preach, especially from that leadership
Yeah.
aspect.
I think it's so layered and tiered, but at the end of the day, it's what you just said. It's if you say you're going to do something, do it.
Mhm.
And honest to God, I've said this across different platforms and different employee levels and friendships and relationships and family. Like I would rather you just tell me if I ask you to do something simple, I would rather you just say no. Like okay, that cool. I'll go to somebody else. I'll do it myself. I'll find somebody who's an expert, whatever. But I would rather hear no than yes or sure. And then it's just like where are we at? We're in this abyss of you're not going to do it. You don't know how. You're coming back to me with a million questions anyway. Like let's have that dialogue up front. We can get it done faster. We can cross whatever mythical bridge we talk about. Let's cross that
Right.
bridge when we get there. Well, let's cross it right now
Yeah.
versus later. So my biggest thing in all of my aspects of life are, and especially in business with people relying on income and they're
Mhm.
relying on me for a lot of things too, is
Right.
just I have to do what I'm expecting other people to do, or who the f am I to be asking anybody anything? So
Right.
uh, yeah,
Uh,
that's
I
where
love
it
that.
came from.
I love
Are we
that.
allowed to
Well,
swear up front? Like
yeah,
this is
yeah,
a
yes,
this is
you
an
can. I can
adult.
put a disclaimer. This is the Tim
Okay.
Pauly podcast, so there's gonna be a couple
Just be
couple
careful.
cuss words on it. Yeah.
Tim Pauly language coming in. I'll try not to,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No, no,
that's
that's all right.
the basis. That's the basis of even the email back and forth and when we've talked is just it just
Yeah.
drives me nuts when it doesn't happen to me because I try to give that out to the world for the most part,
Mhm.
um,
Right.
and that's just sort of my expectation in return.
Yeah. Well, I think you brought up a good point because yes, from a leadership standpoint, like you need to set the model. My dad, always used to tell me, "Hey, the behavior you exhibit as a leader becomes the acceptable behavior of your team."
Mm-hmm.
So I show up late to work. What does that tell everybody else? Well, who cares if the boss shows up too late? Then we can show up late.
Mm-hmm.
From that perspective. But I like how you tied that into really employee engagement too. Like, hey, if you don't know how to do something, don't be afraid to ask me. You're probably
Totally.
not going to understand if you're the first person there. So have that dialogue up front versus down the road when now I'm frustrated as a leader because I didn't know that you didn't know.
Right, and I think where a lot of employees look at leadership, or at least I even used to do this too, of thinking like, man, they know everything, right? Like
Right.
they got
Mm-hmm.
to this position because they just must
Mm-hmm.
know everything. And
Yep.
I'm here to tell you that is utter bullshit. And I don't care what industry you're in, I don't care what you're selling or doing or promoting or supporting, it doesn't matter. The people that got there took the time to either figure it out
Mm-hmm.
themselves
Yep.
or learned from somebody else
Yes.
and then use that as their basis to then lead a group of people or lead a business a society, a group, or whatever. But
Right.
leadership doesn't you don't just have it. And I think
No.
that mentality of employee A looking up at employee B is like, well,
Mhm.
they just know everything.
They're
And it's
born with
just
it.
God, man, I cannot tell you how much everyone is figuring it out. Everyone
Right.
at every level
Mm-hmm.
of everything. And that's a big thing that I had to learn. Like I figured every brewery owner, I call it kind of imposter syndrome of like every
Yeah.
brewery
Yep.
owner knows exactly what they're doing at all times. And
Mm-hmm.
man, like I'm the one goofing everything up. And then we all
Right.
talk at a happy hour once a quarter. And it's like, oh, everyone's having
Whoa.
the exact same issues I'm having or,
Yes.
or something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one for me is just allowing every level of employee, of leader, of company, of family, of friendship relationship, like allow room for growth. And I've had to
Yeah.
learn that myself
Mm-hmm.
and have to still like remind myself constantly to allow for that. But your job, as if I ask you to do something, is to let me know that you need it at the same time.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right. Right. Well, and that's where
yeah.
that continuous growth, that continuous development. And I think what's cool is when your employees can see you are growing, you're developing, like you're
Mm-hmm.
not the same boss you were back in 2017 when
Oh,
you
geez.
opened up
Yeah.
down in the third ward, like off Chicago Avenue down there. Like,
Hmm.
I, you're a different boss than you are. Well, one, you had to be because you're a bigger operation now,
Yep.
but you face different challenges. And to me, who you are as a leader has to directly link to your values,
Hmm.
to your principles.
Yep.
Um, how is that something where, from your perspective, you can show what your values and your principles are on a day-to-day interaction with your employees, or with, in your case, with customers that are coming in?
Yeah.
Because that's another way of practicing what you preach. It's not just, hey, I say I believe in this, but I'm actually doing this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, couldn't agree with it more. I try to go into every interaction. I don't care how big or how small with, look, we're on the same level. If
Mhm.
you're treating me with respect and just, not even, I'm not a huge like, oh, don't disrespect me, but let's have a dialogue. Let's talk. Are there issues? Is there good? Is it bad? Is it up? Is it down? I'll match wherever you are. But the second we start getting here, then the fangs will come out a little bit. And then
Right.
like it's not a dump and run type situation, but I lose the ability to keep my positive, let's figure
Yeah.
this out, let's move forward. The attitude shift for me can change really quickly when it's not reciprocated
Mhm.
back in my direction. And I know that
Right.
might sound a little like, I don't even know what it sounds like. I understand it, but when I come into something with an open mind, I don't care where you come from, I don't care background, socioeconomic, gender, race, sexuality, I
Mhm.
don't care.
Right. Right.
But when different factors start getting used as like, oh, I deserve this, or you could have done
Mhm.
this better when I tried my best, quote unquote.
Mhm.
If
Right.
I'm giving a lackadaisical effort and it shows, I'm not gonna be mad at you about it, but I'll be mad at myself. Um,
Mhm.
but a lot of those dialogues can change really quickly when there just isn't a mutual adult kind of respect back and
Yep.
forth. So I'll give
Yeah.
everybody a shot up front, but
Yeah.
I've also got a pretty quick trigger on not dealing with that stuff.
Right. That level of disrespect. Because there's difference between disrespect. I know you say you don't mind disrespect, but like that almost next level of disrespect where it's looking down upon you or not giving you the benefit of the doubt all the time. And
Totally, totally.
yeah, go on.
Or just prejudgment. Like if you come into something with a prejudged notion of how this is going to go, then
Yep.
well, I can make it go that way in a hurry. I can
Right.
promise you that.
Right.
But you said it at the opening. Like I'm probably to the detriment of, well, benefit and detriment.
Mhm.
As Brian Hendricks, one of my my best friends, you've known where I've stood on
Yes.
everything
Everything.
since we were 18 years old.
It is true. Yes.
19 years old, and I've kind of kept that course, and I may have burned a couple bridges along the way, but
Mhm.
they're bridges that I probably didn't want to be connected to
There you
anyway.
go.
And
Hmm.
and that's sort of how I look at it is, the things that give me life and happiness and comfort. And I mean, not every day is our in our friendship or marriage or work life is like these roses and lollipops, but
No.
can I come back and talk to you about it? Can I come back and talk to
Right.
my wife Selena about it, or
Hmm.
bounce stuff off of Jackie or employees here or whatever?
Right.
Like those are the things that you know I continue to try to give life and oxygen and attention to. So
Well, I think that's an overall point too. And I don't remember what it was, but this is probably 3, 4 years ago. You and I got into something over text in our group chat. I don't remember what it
yeah,
was, but I was just livid. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. I went out and just got one of the best workouts in my entire life.
that's
And I
good.
think I came back and was like, I hate you, but I just got a great workout in. So thank you. And immediately you're like, good. So let's talk. And I think after it was over and it was done and we figured out we moved on. And
I
it's like,
I probably sent you a goofy meme or something, and it was back on track. Yeah.
exactly. But I think that, and I've seen that in your work life as well, where like,
Hmm.
even when people are upset with you or angry with you, yes, you want to jump, and if you get pushed, you will jump to that negative space. But part of your principles, your values that I've known you is to know, give them the benefit of the doubt first. Like
Right.
come to them with respect. And I think that's such a huge portion of leadership is, hey, people might come to disrespect you first. You give them that first benefit of the doubt though, because you're in that leadership role. And then you see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I'm open to hearing. Like I'm open to
Mhm.
listening why, or like how do we get here. And I certainly don't run towards conflict, but I also don't avoid it. Like I'm
Right.
not
Hmm.
conflict avoidance or risk averse or anything like that. I don't run towards it, but like, look, if you're mad at me for something, I can promise you there was probably an intention somewhere along the line that I didn't want you to be there.
Right.
And
Hmm.
so if I got you there somehow, let's figure it out.
Right.
Or
Hmm.
we can just flat out agree to disagree. Which in 2024, if you can't like admit that sometimes we just have to agree to disagree to keep any of this moving forward, then we're all just kind of shit out of luck. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I agree totally. And I think too, something I want to kind of extend on that is, um, so not you want to get benefit out, you're not afraid of conflict, but going back to like your values, principles, like you're the Tim Paul you are. How
mhm,
do you continue to practice what you preach when times get hard? When, as you and I have talked, we don't know what's coming next,
yeah,
and at that point, we know we should rely on who we are, and that's what we default to. But there's always that, oh, do I need to adjust me to change something?
yeah,
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So just kind of what are your
totally.
thoughts on that?
No, we've talked about that too. Like I would rather go down with the sinking ship, knowing that I went down as Tim Pauly, that
Mhm.
who I've been for 36 and a half years, and I did it. I don't want to say the right way or my way,
Right.
but I did it
Mhm.
with principles and decision making and values that I believe are right. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I would rather go down with a sinking ship in
Yeah.
that scenario than the proverbial, sell my soul to
Right.
do
There you
something
go.
that I don't believe in. Whether that's taking money from groups that I don't want money from, whether
Mhm.
it's hosting, you know, different types of events here at the brewery that I don't want to be associated with. Like we're going through it right now. There are groups that we just flat out won't host,
Mhm.
money making sponsorship fundraising events for because they truly don't line up with what I believe in at the end of the day. Um,
Yeah.
we all value the almighty dollar. Like I get that,
Mhm.
but I'm confident enough in myself where I say like, look, okay, I might lose 5 grand or 10 grand here. Where do I find that to supplement
Uh,
in a place that brings me, back to a grounded source, whether it's, an animal abuse shelter or a
mhm.
children's cancer camp or
Right.
Miracle League of Milwaukee, helping
Mhm.
youth, the disability youth play sports or Marquette. We do so much with
Yep.
Marquette. I care so much about,
Yeah.
educate basically anything under 21 years and under is where I kind of care
That's yes.
because that's
Yeah.
the vulnerable group in our society. I think, so I look at it as that way. Like, yeah, I might lose something here, but how can I gain it over here? And um, I would, at the end of the day, I'd rather put my head on the pillow and sleep well, knowing I kind of gave it my best shot
Yeah.
and whatever I think my best shot looks like versus, um, kind of just going the soulless, sell my soul route
Right.
to make money. So yeah,
And now I'm going to go on a limb here, not much of a limb, but say that's not always the easy decision
no,
because sometimes we need that money. Sometimes we need that client. Sometimes we need
yeah,
that one team member to stay, whatever it might be. So,
hmm
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I love the way you think about it. But if you're talking, so you're talking to our audience here, leaders who are going to face those same things. How have you done it where you're able to stick to your guns, you're able to stick to your principles and values and not chase the big dollar sign at the end of the day?
yeah. It is difficult, but I also think there's just something. Maybe it's ingrained in me
Mhm.
at some point where again I don't fear those decisions anymore. Maybe early on I did
Yeah.
when we were trying to get our feet
Yeah.
under us, but we're almost 7 years into business now, and really 8 if you kind of count the build out and all that stuff.
Yep.
But I guess I've proven over those 7 years that the bulk of what we're doing is going to work,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
I can sort of lean back on that of like the last 8 years of building has kind of got me to this point where I can make those decisions a little less on the edge of the branch where it might not snap off. So like I feel like I'm moving closer back to the trunk where it's a little
Yes.
safer on the proverbial branch. But do you know what I'm saying? Where like the
I
the
do.
risk is becoming smaller
Yeah.
in making those decisions
Yep.
because of the foundation that we've built
Mhm.
over the last 7 years.
I think that is one of the best pieces of advice that people have given in my entire 23 episode run of this show right there. Because I think it's because you said it when you're younger and you're starting a brand new business,
Mm-hmm.
or you're starting a brand new job, you're starting something new in your life. It is always going to be, I shouldn't say always, it's a lot, most time, it's going to be a lot more challenging to stick to your values, your
Mm-hmm.
principles, what makes you you, then versus now you become established. You're a known brand in the city of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can go to Omaha, Nebraska and get your beer at this point. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, but you're right. You're like, you are now become more established, and you're established because back when it was harder,
Mm-hmm.
you still stuck to your guns and your principles and your values, your morals.
Yeah, and I'll even build off of that. So like in
Yeah.
the leadership world, like we all have people that we look up to. We look at other leaders and
Yep.
we're like, how do I kind of get to that,
Mhm.
level of leadership? I'll point directly to Lakefront Brewing Company right here in
Yeah.
Milwaukee, where um, Russ Klisch is the owner, founder owner. He's been there since '87.
Mhm.
He has really helped from a 2 mile distance sort of lead the way in terms of, hey man, if Russ can stick to his guns and that guy is a regional brewery, and honestly he's got beer in other countries, so international, if that
Yeah.
dude can stick to his guns and make it work, and he's kind of doing things the way that I believe in and fall in line
Yeah.
with, then shit, so can I.
Mhm.
So
It's true.
that's part of leadership too. I think
It
is
is.
looking at other people that have done it longer,
Mhm.
better, just as successfully, if not more successfully, and say, okay, like this is how Russ is doing
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to copy and paste, but
Right.
it can work if you just stick to what you believe in. And he's got
Yep.
40 years of foundation to work off of. So
Yeah. Well, and it gives you a roadmap. Again,
yeah,
you don't have to take the same route,
yep,
but it gives you a roadmap. And I think so many times as leaders, we think we have to reinvent the wheel. It's like, no, no,
right,
no. The wheel's already been invented. How are you going to make the wheel work for
yep,
you? Is that next step?
right. We're making beer, man. Like we're making beer
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Like there's 4, 5, 6, 7 ingredients depending on what you're making. Like
Yeah.
we are not making we're not reinventing alcohol,
Right. Hmm.
but we are creating a space, a community space, an atmosphere, a vibe. I don't want to overuse the word vibe, but we've got a vibe here that
Yep.
we're gonna stick to, and
Yeah.
it's comfortable for everyone.
Mhm.
It's sports, relax, music, TV, come hang out, social. Like we're gonna stick to that, but at the end of the day, we're also gonna stick to things that I believe in on the bigger front, where we do have a platform. I've got
Mhm.
tens of thousands of people on social media and email and
Right.
things like where I can connect with people that kind of are at least somewhat like-minded, and
Right.
explain to them, maybe if they don't believe in something that we believe in, why we do or why we don't,
Mhm.
and then you can make your own decisions from there. But yeah, like we were saying earlier, it's a little bit easier now than it
Right.
was in the past, but
Right.
we're also kind of in that second or third growth phase where we'd like to
Mhm.
make the next jump. So
Right.
yeah.
And then that's almost like a brand new beginning where some of those
Hmm.
decisions again, you got to come back.
You got to
Well,
think about
and
it.
right. Well, and something you said we talked about, earlier you said there's some people that maybe you've rubbed the wrong way or that you've cut out of your life.
Yeah.
Then you say, you bring up Lakefront Brewery and all the great things they've done. How important is it to surround yourself with people that can build you up with your or have similar morals and values? No, I'm not saying that not surrounding yourself with people with yes men that say, Tim, you're
Yeah.
great. And you're like, wow, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But that it's that idea of you are the sum of the five people you spend the most time with in your life. It's like how
Hmm.
important that is to you to like, or maybe, or do you take a conscious effort at like, do you look at who you reach out to, who you are mentored by, who you talk to, and who your friends are? Like, how important is that to you as far as building that, practicing what you preach?
Yeah, without question, and it's at every level of what you just said. So you look at our friend group, like these are people that I can be intellectually challenged by, I can
Mhm.
be emotionally challenged by.
Yeah.
Uh, Not a lot of physical challenge, but
No,
we're all
our friend
competitive.
group
But
stays away from that.
but I love to be surrounded by people where it's not going to turn into an argument, right? Like
Mhm.
you
Right.
and I and Marco and Adam and Jeff and James, and like go down the list. Romo, we
Right.
get into like intellectual battles, I suppose you could call
Right.
it. But
Right.
at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, like your best interest is what I'm shooting for. And I feel
Correct.
that in the
Yes.
people that I surround myself with. So when you ask
Mhm.
about friendship, that's easy. Family,
Yeah.
that's easy too.
Yeah.
In the work environment, yeah, like it absolutely is something. I don't want anyone to say yes to everything that I say because I promise you,
Mhm.
I'm not doing it right
Right.
100% of the time. And if
Right.
there's somebody out there that thinks they're getting it right 100% of the time, they'll be looking for work or they'll
Yep.
be,
Oh, yeah.
chasing validation for a long time. I get
Mhm.
challenged by my wife, Selena, is an employee here.
Mhm.
She challenges me all the time. She has changed a lot of what our operations look like over the last couple of years. I have a director of ops. Her name is Erin. She is learning the ins and outs of the operations of the business, and she
Yeah.
she has challenged me on a bunch of things. Carl back in the brew house, same
Mhm.
thing. Like you are the expert in the brew house. I need you to tell me
Right.
what are market trends, what are
Mhm.
raw material costs looking like, what are packaging
Mhm.
material costs looking. Does it make sense to do a triple IPA with $1,000 in hops right now, or should we go lighter on the lager side that's a little bit cheaper that people can have a couple of, and markets are
Mhm.
trending towards lagers and ales, so all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I rely heavily on them to say, Tim, either that's a terrible idea or
Mhm.
that's a great idea, let's execute it. And it's been like that since, well, not officially since we opened, because I've had some struggles along the way that
Right.
are
Mhm.
well documented with the split of a business partner in
Mhm.
2022. But that had nothing to do with like me thinking I was right all the time, or needing a
Right.
yes man around me or anything like that. um,
Right.
I think you unequivocally need people around you on an emotional and intellectual like um, level that can
Mhm.
match where
Right.
you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll just end up with yes men and yes women. And
Mhm.
again, it might work for a little bit, but I promise there's no longevity in that.
No. Well, and then too, when you get rid of the yes men, yes women, now you're reinforcing your values, your principles, because you seeing what you agree with, what you disagree with. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay to have people around you disagree with. It's just going to make you stronger in what you believe in. And that's okay
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a why, like if there's a reason why,
Mhm.
again, kind of going back to what we were touching on earlier, like if there's a reason why you disagree with me, I'm all ears.
Yep.
I might still make the decision that we're going to
Correct. Hmm.
do it my way or the way that we talked about first, but I'm also not going to say like, no, we're doing it this way, close the book, shut the
Hmm.
door, get out. This is how it's happening. I can
Right.
I can think of 100 examples where it was a 30, 40, 50 minute back and forth of, I don't think this is going to work. Then we start tearing the layers apart. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, did we think about this piece of the logistics? Did we think about this expense
Yeah.
that you didn't necessarily think about up front? And that's in the service industry, so I'm sure it can be um, matched and changed across
Oh yeah.
different business types. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, I'm still the one writing the checks and paying the bills. So
Right.
I've
Right.
gotta have confidence
Hmm.
that what we're doing is either going to work or give us the best shot to work. And I'm not always going to be the one to come up with that. And boy,
Right.
am I aware am I
Yes.
aware of that. So yeah, I find it to be an important aspect of being at the top of the heap.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It is. It's about who you surround yourself with to help make you the best version of you.
Mm-hmm.
So, last question I asked, we're wrapping up. Last question I ask everybody is, as you had already mentioned, you didn't get here by yourself. You
No.
had mentors, you had leaders that had helped you. So, who are one or two leaders in your life that you think would be great guests on this show that very selfishly I can learn from in my leadership journey?
Great guess, man. That's a great question. I think how high up the food chain are we talking here?
You, you tell me if you know somebody that you think would be great, let's shoot for the moon, man.
Yeah. Well, I've had the distinct pleasure of getting to know Jeff Levering very well over the years. He's a color guy for the Brewers. Well, he does a lot.
Yes.
Also works for TNT, I believe, and some of the Big Ten stuff. But
Mm.
Jeff is a guy just over conversations. Uh, Again, he just goes about his life in a way that I respect so tremendously. and
Okay.
he has been a mentor to people kind of getting into the broadcast world. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say he was necessarily like a direct mentor to me, but yeah, Jeff is somebody that and I don't even know exactly where like our morals and principles and all that. I don't know if they align perfectly or not,
No.
but he has such a distinct, um, genuine way about the way that he goes about things that
Mm,
Jeff is somebody that immediately pops to mind.
yeah.
Um, and then who's another leader, man? Hmm. Feel bad giving you dead air here. I mean,
Oh,
Russ,
that makes me
honestly,
feel.
I could
Yeah.
get you in touch with Russ. Like Russ Klisch is he is as cool a
Yeah.
cat. Like we've only met a few times. I don't want to see
Right.
like make it seem like we're best friends, but
No.
in the few times that we've met, again, he just has a way of treating people with such decency, and
Mhm.
there's a
Absolutely.
genuine aspect of his interactions that again he's the one of the first people that pops in my mind, and just the
Love
way
it.
that he runs his business.
Yeah.
I hope whether people like me or not, I hope they at least know it's genuine,
Right.
and
Yep.
this isn't some two-faced facade you're getting for a podcast. Like
No, this is.
this is me, man.
Yep.
So
Which I can tell all the time. What you heard, this is the Tim Pauly that
yeah,
I've known since I've
yeah,
been 18 years old, which is,
yeah,
almost at this point, I just realized that's half our lives.
just about, man. It's
Just about
crazy.
half our lives at this point. So, Tim, I can't tell you, man, this was a blast. Thank you so much for jumping on and being a part of the 6 Degrees Leadership podcast and community. Um, how can people get in touch with you? Like, if you want to get in touch with you or get in touch with Broken Bat Brewery, which is the brewery you own, what's the
Yeah,
best way for people to reach out?
man. Social media is great. Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram, Twitter, Broken Bat Brew on all those. Our website's brokenbatbrewery.com. We're right down in Walker's Point in downtown Milwaukee on First and Pittsburgh. And
Mhm.
yeah, we'd love to come serve you a cold beer or two or three, and watch a little Brewers baseball, Marquette basketball, Packer football, all the good stuff in life. But
Always.
yeah, we'd love to stay in touch. And then if anybody really wants to get in touch with me, email is tim@brokenbatbrewery.com. And I'm open to anything that might come from this. So feel free to reach out.
Great. Thank you, Tim. And we'll put all that contact information in the show notes for everybody so you have access to all that. But again, Tim, just want to say thank you so much for taking the time and enlighten us on how to be true to who you actually are, practicing what you preach.
Appreciate it, Brian. Love you.
Love you too, brother. Before we get to the final word, first, a message from our sponsors, Sales Rescue. Are you ready to skyrocket your profits? Sales Rescue is here to transform your business's sales strategy with proven success. At rescuemysales.com, they turn the frustration of missed targets into the thrill of exceeding goals, empowering you to not only meet, but surpass your sales ambitions, leading to growth and profitability. Exclusively for listeners of the 6 Degrees of Leadership podcast, you can claim your free sales rescue consultation today and their Sales Rescue AI playbook to start your journey to sales excellence. But hurry, this free offer is only available for a limited time. Visit rescuemysales.com now. That's rescuemysales.com. Don't miss this free opportunity at Sales Rescue, where we rescue your sales and rocket your profits. Thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget, like and subscribe to 6 Degrees of Leadership for more inspiring conversations and valuable insights. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep making a difference.